everyone. I'm Pete Wright with LexJet, and I am joined today by my great friend, master artist, master photographer, and brilliant mind, Richard Sturdevant. Richard, how are you doing today?
I'm doing great, Pete. Thanks for having me. It's good to see you again, man. You look great, dude.
Trying to keep up with you.
Hey, it's having a healthy lifestyle works, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Hey, I want to have the opportunity to let people know a little bit about who you are. I know a lot of people know who you are because you've made waves in our industry, but there's a lot of people that maybe haven't heard of you before, and I think they need to know who you are. So I want to get you to start out by just telling everybody how you started in photography, where you got your feet wet in photography, and then let's talk about the progression from there.
Well, I was a traditional artist, graphic artist. Made my living with that for years. And taught and across the nation with airbrush and oils and acrylics. And then there was a period there where the art industry kind of went down. So I went into doing digital advertising and started learning the computer and digital. And I was one of the first ones that actually, in my area that got the digital camera at the time. And I started doing that and started working with the company. I started introducing them to that. And then from there, I just kind of, shot commercially for the medical industry, and then I decided to open up a studio, and the rest is history. I mean, and there's a lot more involved in that, but that's basically the deal. And then I started competing, and it was amazing from that point on. And I've been doing it for years, mentoring people now. I'm more of a mentor now, and I actually competed again.
It's awesome. So I remember meeting you in the early 2000s, but from a distance because we hadn't personally met yet. But I remember just seeing your work. You were on the cover of the WPPI magazine. I think it was Rangefinder.
Yeah.
In what, 06, 07?
That was 2006, and that was a June issue, and that was called Darrell's Run. And a funny story about that, I had to redo the image because I never flatten images. Only image in my life I ever flattened. And didn't keep a PSD file, and so I had to redo it. But it put me on the map, and from there it was great.
And you learned your lesson about flattening images.
Oh yeah. When I teach people and I do my workshops, I'm very adamant about that. Memory's cheap.
So over the years, I think there was a kind of a legend that's developed because you would get double diamond. I mean, most people don't even know what Diamond Photographer of the Year is. And then the ones that do, they're like, I would kill to get one. And you were doing it over and over and over, and you're getting 4 100s in print competitions. You were doing things that were unheard of. And the fun part to me is that over the 2 decades that I've known you, every time people seem to catch up with you, you raise the bar or you change the game. And a big part of that to me that I've seen is what you're doing with printing. Mm-hmm. Because I think the game of compositing, which is what you really built, you created the compositing game. The game of compositing started to catch up to you. And you're like, okay, well, what can I do? And then you change the game by starting to do what we have you doing today with the embellishing on prints. So I want to talk a little bit about the different types of papers you use and what you're embellishing on, and a little bit about your embellishing process. So talk to me a little bit, first of all, of some of the papers that you're using.
Well, the embellishment is just a byproduct. I've been doing it my whole life. I used to do retouch 8x10s for photographers. The old retouch a days with the colored pencils and the little oils and things of that nature. And the embellishing after when COVID hit, I started reintroducing myself to all of my old techniques and got myself sharpened, and I've learned new things. It's funny at my age right now. I'm 59 years old, and I got more zest for learning than I ever did in my life. And I've learned so much in this last year. Hardest year of working I ever did, most blessed year I ever had. But as far as the embellishment, I wanted to teach people that you can have an original, because in photography, we really don't have original except for a raw file, right? But we don't have the final product as original. So I started teaching people how to embellish the prints. This is a print I'm embellishing here in the LexJet booth with colored pencils. And what's so special about this paper right here is this is the ultra smooth hot press rag from LexJet. And you can work on it without putting any retouch lacquer on it, without any gesso. You can actually sit there and just work about probably 7 to 8 layers. And so we started telling people that yesterday, and it made them a little light bulb go off in their head, because some people don't want to mess with the chemicals, right?
Mhm.
So you need a good paper that can handle that. And I also heard that Greg Daniels has a paper too that,
Is using the Marabou
yeah,
canvas, and he's not having to coat it to put oil paints and acrylic paints on.
right, because
So,
it doesn't come off. That's the problem.
mhm.
That's usually when you're working on canvas, you have to seal it, and you'd either need to seal it with a clear gesso or a retouch lacquer like suede matte or McDonald's or whatever's still around. I use suede matte, and it's good stuff. But yeah, and if you can do that without using a chemical, that's mind-boggling. It increases your production time. I mean, shortens your production time. I'm sorry, cut that out. But anyways, it's to know that kind of stuff, and I'm so excited about testing all your papers, because got so many, and so anyways, I just love it, and I love the canvas, the black opal, and there's the oh, what's the name of that one? The textured rag.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That one's got some texture to it, and you can work on it with color pencils without putting any lacquer on it, and it is just to die for. And the texture is it looks like it should be hanging in a gallery just without anything on it.
So you've been, I would say for you, and tell me if I'm wrong, when you're printing the images, when it comes off the printer, that's the beginning for you. Not,
That's
I
the
mean,
beginning.
I mean, don't get me wrong. The amount of work you're doing in Photoshop and the pre-production area of getting the images and the composites built is extensive. But then you print the image. You've chosen the paper that you want to use. You print the image, and then you spend what, probably the same amount of time going back by hand and embellishing it.
Well, that's the whole point, is to create a true original. Now you can have embellished prints that you sell, where you print and have numbered prints, and each one of them is embellished. Maybe like Thomas Kincaid used to be touched by the artist prints. He'd do a brush stroke on it or something. It
Hmm.
was touched by Thomas Kincaid. I want people to get in there and the final artwork, that is not where the joy comes from. It is the basically the result of the journey that you went through. And with the AI coming in and people doing AI and stuff, see, art is about the journey. Art is about creating something and getting there and putting your heart and soul into it, and actually creating something that makes people just ooh and all. And so I love teaching people how to do original art, and then you would rephotograph it at that point. So you also sharpen up your old
Hmm.
photography skills, and then you could sell prints of that. You could sell a digital version without embellishment. You could sell have the original sell. Then you could sell prints of the embellished version. So there's all kinds of avenues. And whenever I look at something, a product or a paper, a light, a softbox, I look, okay, I can use this for photography. What else can I use it for?
Hmm.
So, and like your papers and stuff, and some of the vinyls I use for when I design booths, when I'm doing cosplay now. Yeah, and so just so people know, with my hands, you can see my hands are all beat up, and I've been working for the last 3 weeks on booths for here, doing some crazy stuff. And that's an artist working hands. And I tell you what, in the computer, it's great. I love my Photoshop. I love all that, but I've been doing it for so many years that you get lazy. And what I wanted to do now is do everything I can in camera, and then come here and embellish it. I've got some new work coming this next few months. I've been keeping under wraps on that. I've been dedicating more time to my art. And so my life consists of my art and my grandbaby. And so anyways, I've got some new stuff I'm going to break out that's 3-dimensional, that is like mind-boggling. That is, even with prints, I'm doing stuff with these prints that I'm doing that are multi-layered and leveled with different substrates and everything that make it 3-dimensional. I'm about pushing the edge to the max. I want to, how far can I go with this? How far can I get? Now, I'll tell you what, nobody knows that I may not be the best photographer in the world, but I'm definitely the craziest and the most creative, because I come up with great ideas. And what I'm really good at too is when I mentor people and I look at their images, I can teach them how to look at it. And it's so funny when you see their light bulb go off, that they get it, all of a sudden, oh, I get this. And that's more rewarding to me than all the awards I ever won, because it's really about the journey. When you talk about your art, you don't talk about AI like you got, oh, look at art, great, because you have no journey on that. It's not your art. I mean, I don't care how you look at it, but it's a tool that we can use, and you could sell it like that. But you can also take that stuff, the AI stuff, print it, and embellish it with your own artwork and make it even more than it could be.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of the images that you've done. I think I first saw them like the last year or the year before, where you had an image and then you had another layer of it printed and mounted, and then
Yes.
another layer printed. So it was truly a three-dimensional the way
Mhm.
you were doing it, and then you were embellishing on top of that.
Mhm.
So with your three-dimensional stuff that you've been doing, I mean, it's really next level, because what it makes people see is that with kind of like in Photoshop layers, where the layers you're building in the image doesn't mean it's just in digital. It can be with the paper and the print as well.
Mhm.
You can layer image on top of image on top of image. And I think you're opening people's eyes to what can be done. It doesn't have to stop when it comes off the machine, it can keep going from there.
What I teach all my people: life, art, printing, compositing. It's all layers. And what I teach people is how to see what it could be and not what it is.
Mhm.
And that's the key. You have to look at things and go beyond what it is. And I remember I was in Georgia, teaching at Georgia school, and we were going to lunch. Woody Walters was in there, and he was like, we're all walking, and they said, "Where'd Richard go?" And there was this like little asphalt busted up, and had these little barricades around it and yellow tape. And so I had a little Canon G1 on me I used to carry, and I got down on my belly and I photographed that. And they said, "What are you doing?" I said, "We're going to do exploding turf in the afternoon class." And I took that asphalt and put it in there and put turf over top of it. Had a football player, ended up going to the World Cup. So it was great. You know, it was a really cool process to see people say, "Oh, I get it now." And when you can teach people to see, that's where that's where they don't have confidence, because they can't see it. But once you teach them how to see, then they start seeing everything. People, husbands will say, "Man, I wish you hadn't told her that," because every time she talks to the movie all the time, "Did you see the lighting in that?" And, so people want to be moved. People want to know how to do it. They're just afraid to ask. And you don't have to be afraid of me. You just come up and ask me, and I'll tell you. And I can talk while I'm doing stuff, whatever. If you ever see me, come up to me and talk to me, and I'll be more than happy to give you any information you need.
Right.
But I mean, really, Pete, if you think about it, the kind of art you can create after the print is mind-boggling. It's changing the industry, because now our industry is becoming as much about art as the art industry is. I mean, because the photography, has always been art, but artists are like, "Oh, this is real art," but now it's all combined. And what I've done with all the stuff I've done, all the industries I've been in, I brought all this together. All the stuff I've ever learned, I put it together in one project. And I'm starting to do more in camera compositing. Doesn't mean I'm going to give up my Photoshop, but back in the day, we used to build all the sets and everything like that. And so I'm teaching people how to do that now, so that they can learn how, because that was a great foundation for me, learning how to do that. And I want to teach people how to do it, because everybody's just taking the quick, they want easy. Well, true art is not easy. True art takes hard work, and you got to work at it.
So let's go back to the beginning for where you first started printing and what you're printing with now.
Well, I started printing when I did a job for the restaurant, and it was easier to buy the printer and the paper. And so then I had this printer, and then I started doing my own printing. I started doing my canvases, and back then I was even embellishing, but not to the level I'm doing now. And that was an Epson, and it was a great printer for a while. It was a 44-inch. And then we started talking to you about Canon. I kicked the tires for a couple years, and then I ended up buying one in Nashville. And it's just been great ever since. It's one of the best printers I've ever used in my life.
I think you've got the Pro 2100.
Pro 2100. It's great. And I'm going to move up. I'm deciding whether to go to the 44-inch or the 60, what is it, 60-inch?
60-inch. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because there's some big stuff I want to do. And also with 3D sculpturing on which people are doing in the world, but they're not doing it in our industry, and they're not doing it like I'm doing it. And it's amazing what you can do with it. So I just want to share with people. And as far as if you ever want to find out about where I'm teaching or my workshops or what I'm doing, or you can reach me at Sturdevant.com. And you can also email me at info@sturdevant.com, and that's STURDAVINC. It's Da Vinci with STUR, STUR in front of it, .com. And you can look me up on Facebook, Richard Sturdevant, and you'll see a lot of pictures of my grandbaby. But and I'm getting better to social media stuff, you know. But it's I feel like social media takes away from my creative time, and I've been kind of staying off of it, except for posting and marketing. I just want to create now, and this is the most creative I've ever been in my life. I think sometimes I think people think I'm crazy, and maybe I am, but I love it. But I'm a good crazy. I'm a good creative artist, and I can teach you and show you, and I hope we get to do some stuff in the future together.
Absolutely.
And it's going to be fun because
Looking
you and
forward
I've
to
had
it.
a long relationship.
We have.
We've judged together. We've had a lot of experiences together. So
Well, Richard, thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'm looking forward to doing more of these with you, and hopefully having you at our LexJet office, maybe to teach a workshop someday.
we're going to work that out. I promise you that.
Thank
All
you,
right, brother.
Richard.
Good.